Leora stepped off the small shuttle onto the smooth metallic surface of the alien city. The air was strange, heavy with scents she had never experienced. Buildings towered above her, spiraling high into the sky, gleaming with colors that seemed almost alive. The streets were filled with beings of all shapes and sizes. Some walked on 4 legs, some on 6, and some floated above the ground using strange energy fields. Despite their differences, all eyes turned toward her. Humans were rare here, and she knew she would be judged the moment she entered. Whispers spread quickly. A human, here, fragile, weak, small. But Leora was calm. She had come prepared, carrying something that would make even the most skeptical alien pause, a small ingot of Damascus. Steel. The alien smiths were waiting for her at the Grand Conclave. Varkel, the leader of the metal workers, was the first to approach. His muscular arms folded across his chest, and his golden eyes glimmered with suspicion. "So, you are the human who claims to have created something stronger than our alloys," he said. His voice was deep, echoing across the hall. "We have studied every metal known to the galaxy. None surpass the limits we have set. Show us this metal of yours." Leora smiled faintly, holding the small ingot carefully. "It is not just metal," she said. "It is Damascus steel. My uncle crafts it back on Earth, and it can withstand forces no ordinary alloy can endure." The aliens laughed, not a polite laugh, but a mocking, dismissive sound that echoed through the hall. "Earth," one counselor sneered. "Primitive, weak, barely surviving on a tiny blue planet. You would teach us about metal?" Leora did not flinch. She placed the ingot on a reinforced stand in the center of the hall. "I did not ask for belief," she said calmly. "I asked for proof." Varkel stepped closer. He picked up a heavy hammer, a tool designed to crush the strongest alloys known to the galaxy. "Very well, human. Let us see if your metal can survive our tests." The hall fell silent. Every eye was on her. The audience of alien scientists, engineers, and metal workers leaned forward in anticipation. Leora raised her hands slightly, steadying her nerves. She had practiced this moment countless times, yet she felt the weight of their skepticism pressing down on her. The hammer swung down with tremendous force. Sparks flew when it struck the ingot, but the ingot did not bend. It did not dent. The aliens gasped. A small murmur ran through the audience, disbelief written on every face. Varkel's brow furrowed. He raised a plasma cutter, a blade that could slice through alloys considered indestructible. The blade hissed as it approached the ingot, cutting with a sharp, blue-white energy. Leora's eyes followed its path, calm and focused. The plasma cutter touched the surface, and yet the Damascus steel held. Its patterns glimmered, shimmering as if alive, absorbing and deflecting the energy. The audience could hardly believe what they were seeing. "Impossible," whispered one alien counselor. "No metal has resisted both hammer and plasma like that." Varkel's expression darkened. Pride wounded, he raised his voice. "Enough. We will test it further. Graviton presses, energy beams. Vibrational hammers. These will prove if your claim is true or false." Leora nodded. "I am ready." The aliens brought out their most advanced machines. Massive graviton presses that could crush tanks with ease, energy beams hotter than stars, and vibrational hammers capable of shattering diamonds were prepared. One by one, they tested the ingot. Each time, the Damascus steel withstood the attack. The pattern of layers absorbed and redirected energy in ways the aliens could not comprehend. The hall was silent now, the initial laughter replaced by shock. They had all assumed humans were weak, fragile, and limited. But here stood proof to the contrary, a small human, standing confidently, with metal that surpassed their greatest knowledge. Varkel's anger grew with each test. "This is impossible," he shouted. "You must be cheating. No human could create something beyond our science." Leora's calm smile did not falter. "There is no trick," she said. "My uncle taught me. We humans have methods. That may seem strange to you. Patience, precision, and understanding of the material. That is how we surpass what seems impossible." The counselors murmured. Many had dismissed Earth as primitive. They had assumed humans weak, incapable of advanced work. But now, with their own eyes. They witnessed humans' ingenuity. Varkel's pride gave way to desperation. "We will use the ultimate test," he declared. "Our grappling core and plasma concentrator combined. If your metal survives this, I will acknowledge it, but if not, your claim ends here." Leora did not hesitate. She placed the ingot carefully inside the massive test chamber. Sparks flew as the machines powered up. The air thickened with energy. Pressures and heat built to levels that could crush planets, or so the aliens believed. Minutes passed, the hull holding its collective breath. The machine roared, shaking the floor. Leora's fingers hovered over the control panel, adjusting angles subtly, guiding the forces to meet the metal evenly. The ingot did not bend. It did not crack. It glimmered in the extreme energy, its pattern almost glowing under the assault. Silence fell over the hall. Then came whispers. "It survived." "Impossible." Varkel sank to his knees, staring at the ingot. Humiliation burned across his face. His lifelong pride shattered in front of the galaxy's greatest minds. Leora looked at him with calm resolve. "Strength is not only in force," she said gently. "Sometimes it is in understanding. Strength comes from knowledge, skill, and patience." The counselors approached, curious and cautious. "Human, this is beyond anything we believe possible. Your people, perhaps we misjudge them." Leora nodded. "Humans are often underestimated. We are small, fragile, and sometimes overlooked. But we adapt, we create, and we excel where others see limits." Varkel did not respond. He only stared, a mixture of awe and anger in his eyes. Slowly, he bowed his head in quiet respect, acknowledging that humans, in their small bodies and strange ways, had surpassed his expectations. The aliens' murmurs grew into admiration. They had believed humans primitive, incapable of advanced thought or skill. Yet here was evidence that one human, armed with knowledge and ingenuity, had done what their best scientists could not. But even as the room buzzed with admiration, a new tension arose. Alarms sounded, red lights flashing across the walls. Holographic displays lit the ceiling, showing a massive alien warship entering the planetary system. Its sensors scanned the city, its weapons primed for attack. Leora's heart raced, but her face remained calm. She had proven humans could create impossible metals, but now, she realized, it was time to show the aliens that humans could think in ways they could not. Ingenuity and adaptability, not brute strength alone, would be the key to survival. The counselors turned toward her. "Human, can your metals withstand this?" one asked. Pointing to the holographic warship, Leora lifted the small ingot, letting it catch the light. "They will," she said, "but it will take more than metal. Humans do not rely only on strength. We adapt, improvise, and think differently. This is how we survive threats others cannot." Varkel's eyes narrowed, still smarting from defeat, but he nodded. "Then teach us, human, teach us your ways. If your metals are to defend us, we must understand them." Leora smiled. "I will. But first, we must prepare." As the alien city mobilized, humans and aliens worked side by side. Workshops once filled with doubt now hummed with curiosity. Soldiers trained with human tactics. Engineers experimented with angles and layers of Damascus steel. The small ingot she had brought was only the beginning, a symbol of human ingenuity, and proof that no one should underestimate humans again. The warship loomed closer, dark and silent, and the city braced for the first wave. But Leora stood tall. She knew that humans could do what the aliens considered impossible, not just in metallurgy, but in strategy, creativity, and courage. The sun set behind the alien city, casting long shadows across the grand hall. Leora turned toward Varkel and the counselors. "Tonight," she said quietly, "you will see why humans are never to be underestimated." The aliens whispered. The soldiers prepared, and Varkel clenched his fists not in anger, but in recognition. For the first time, he realized humans were more than survivors. They were innovators, creators, and problem solvers. And in that moment, the conclave understood an undeniable truth. Humans, small and fragile though they might seem, could change the galaxy. The great hall of the alien conclave hummed with a quiet tension. Dozens of species filled the towering chamber. their eyes fixed on the small human standing in the center. Leora's hands held the ingot of Damascus steel carefully, its dark, swirling patterns catching the soft light from above. It was simple in appearance, but the energy around it felt almost alive. Varkel, the alien smith who had mocked her the day before, stepped forward. His forearms crossed arrogantly. "Show us this impossible metal, human," he said, his voice echoing in the hall. "We will see if it is as strong as you claim or if it shatters like all the rest." The aliens murmured among themselves. Many had never seen a human before, and those who had believed humans weak. But something about Leora's calm confidence unsettled them. Leora smiled slightly, lifting the ingot. "This metal is made with techniques that have been passed down on my home planet for generations. It is called Damascus steel. Watch carefully." Without another word, she set the ingot on a reinforced stand in the center of the hall. Varkel's eyes narrowed. He summoned a hammer from his personal arsenal, a tool designed to crush alloys known to the galaxy. He swung it down with full force. The ingot did not bend, it did not dent. The sound was a sharp, solid ring that echoed through the chamber. The crowd gasped. Some leaned forward, disbelief in their expressions. Varkel frowned, his confidence wavering slightly. "That was luck," he growled. He raised a plasma cutter, a tool capable of slicing through nearly anything. The blade hissed as it neared the surface of the metal. Leora did not flinch. She adjusted the stand slightly, as if preparing for a dance. The plasma cutter struck. Sparks flew. Heat met metal. But the Damascus ingot held. Its surface glimmered, patterns almost glowing under the assault. The audience was silent. Even the more skeptical aliens could not hide their astonishment. Impossible. One of the alien counselors whispered, "No metal has resisted both hammer and plasma like that." Varkel's face darkened. His pride, wounded in front of all the conclave, made him angry. "Enough," he shouted. "We will test it further. The strongest machines. The greatest pressure. If this is truly metal, it will survive. If not, it will shatter. And your reputation will vanish, human." Leora nodded calmly. "I am ready." The aliens brought forth enormous devices, graven presses that could crush entire vehicles, energy beams capable of melting alloys, and vibrational hammers that could reduce solid metal to dust. In seconds, one by one, they tested the ingot. Each time, it held firm. The pattern of folds in the Damascus steel seemed to absorb the forces, distributing them in ways the aliens could not understand. Varkel's anger grew. His voice shook as he ordered more extreme tests, but with each strike, the human metal endured. The murmurs of awe from the audience grew louder. Whispers spread. "A human created this? Impossible." Leora finally spoke, her voice calm and clear. "On my planet, humans learned long ago that the strength of metal is not just in the elements it contains, but in how it is worked, folded, and treated. We are not limited to the ways you think metal should behave." The aliens exchanged confused glances. Many had assumed that humans, primitive and fragile, could not understand metallurgy at all. Yet here was proof to the contrary, a simple human standing against centuries of alien knowledge and winning. Varkel, humiliated, clenched his fists. "You are cheating," he shouted. "There is no way a human could make something beyond what we know." Leora tilted her head. "This is no trick. My uncle crafts these metals. He taught me the methods. We humans rely on patience, precision, and understanding of the material's nature. That is how we surpass what seems impossible." The aliens were quiet again. They had heard stories of human inventiveness, but they had never witnessed it firsthand. Many of them had dismissed Earth as primitive, its inhabitants weak and fragile. Yet here they were, standing before evidence that humans could create materials far stronger and more adaptable than anything in their own laboratories. Varkel's anger turned to desperation. "We will use the ultimate test," he declared. He summoned a massive war device capable of generating heat hotter than a star and pressure greater than the core of a planet. If the ingot survived this, no alien could doubt it. Leora placed the ingot carefully inside the device's chamber. She adjusted the controls subtly, using her knowledge to ensure the metal was exposed evenly. The device roared to life, flames and pressure converging on the small piece of steel. The chamber shook violently, and the aliens stepped back in fear. Minutes felt like hours. Sweat formed on some foreheads. But when the device powered down, the ingot remained untouched. Not a dent, not a scratch, not a mark of any kind. The hall erupted. Some cheered, others were silent, stunned. Varkel fell to his knees, staring at the ingot in disbelief. His pride had been shattered in front of the entire conclave. Leora looked at him, her eyes kind but firm. Strength is not always measured by size, nor by how much force you can apply. Sometimes, the greatest strength is in understanding and skill. The alien counselors approached her cautiously. "Human, you have shown us something incredible." One said, "Your people. Perhaps we have underestimated them." Leora nodded. "Many have. Humans are often overlooked because we seem small, weak, or fragile. But we find ways to adapt, to innovate, to survive, and to excel where others believe it impossible." Varkel did not speak. He only stared at the metal, at the human who had humbled him, and finally, he bowed his head in quiet respect. But even as the admiration for the Damascus steel spread, a new tension entered the hall. Alarms sounded, and a holographic display flickered to life above the council. On the screen, a massive alien warship appeared near the edge of the system. Its sensors indicated that it was preparing to invade. The display showed targets, energy weapons charged and ready. Leora's heart raced, but her face remained calm. She had proven humans could make impossible metals. But now, she realized, it was time to show that humans could also think in ways the aliens could not. That ingenuity and creativity, not brute strength alone, would be the key to survival. The counselors looked to her, eyes wide. "Human, can your metals withstand this?" one asked. Pointing to the holographic warship, Leora held up her hands. "They will, but it will take more than metal. Humans do not rely solely on the strength of materials. We adapt, we improvise, we think differently. This is how we survive threats that others cannot." Varkel's pride still burned, but he nodded slowly. "Then teach us, human, teach us your ways. If your metals are to defend us, we must understand them." Leora smiled. "I can do that. But first, we must prepare." As the conclave mobilized to face the incoming threat, whispers of admiration for the humans spread like wildfire. The aliens had always seen humans as weak, fragile, and insignificant. But now, a single human, armed with knowledge passed down through generations, had shaken the foundations of their beliefs. The warship loomed closer each moment, its massive shadow stretching across the planetary horizon. The humans and aliens alike worked together, forging new weapons, strengthening defenses, and experimenting with Damascus steel in ways no one had imagined. Leora watched, quietly confident. She knew that humans could do what aliens considered impossible, not just in metallurgy, but in strategy, creativity, and courage. And now, the galaxy was about to witness it firsthand. The sunset behind the alien city, casting long shadows across the hall. Leora turned toward Varkel and the counselors. "Tonight," she said softly, "you will see why humans are never to be underestimated." The counselors nodded. The aliens whispered, and Varkel clenched his fists one final time, not in anger, but in determination. For the first time, he realized that humans were more than just survivors. They were innovators, creators, and warriors in their own right. And in that moment, the conclave understood one undeniable truth. The age of humans had begun. The alien city had changed overnight. Where once there had been quiet halls of science and metalwork, now there was movement, tension, and the sound of hammers on metal. Alien smiths, engineers, and soldiers hustled through streets lined with strange towers and bridges. Leora walked among them, small but purposeful, carrying tools she had brought from Earth. The warship hovered near the edge of the system, a black shadow blotting out the stars. Its sensors scanned the planet, its weapons primed for attack. Alien minds, brilliant in their own right, had prepared every defense they knew, but they still relied on brute force and conventional thinking. Leora, however, saw opportunity in what they had overlooked. She approached Varkel, who was coordinating a team of smiths reforging shields for the city. The four-armed alien looked tired but determined. "Human," he said, "we've reinforced the walls with all we know. What more can your people offer?" Leora smiled. "Not just reinforcement," she said. "We need to think differently. Humans don't just make strong metal, we use it in ways that surprise enemies." Varkel raised an eyebrow. "Explain." Leora knelt beside a wall segment. She pointed to the Damascus steel panels already in place. "These metals absorb and distribute energy in ways that seem magical to you. But it's not magic. It's knowledge. Layering, folding, and shaping each piece carefully. That is what makes it work. Now, watch." Using a small tool, she adjusted the angles of several metal panels along the wall. Then she guided alien engineers to construct narrow channels within the shield's tunnels that could direct energy or even redirect impact from enemy fire. The aliens were skeptical at first, but when they tested it with small energy pulses, the walls bent and absorbed the blasts, leaving no damage behind. "It's unbelievable," muttered one engineer. "We never considered shaping the metal this way." "Humans always find ways," Leora said. "Sometimes the best defense is not stronger walls, it's thinking differently about what walls can do." Meanwhile, soldiers trained with Leora's guidance. She introduced techniques for using human-crafted weapons that could exploit the weaknesses of even the most advanced alien armor. Blades made of Damascus steel, lighter but stronger than alien alloys, could slice through materials once thought invincible. She showed them how to layer armor like a living system, giving flexibility without losing strength. Varkel observed, his earlier arrogance replaced by curiosity. He had spent centuries perfecting metalwork, yet humans seemed to create solutions effortlessly, often in ways he had never imagined. He felt both awe and a hint of jealousy. As night fell, the first warning alarms sounded. The massive warship had begun its approach, entering the planet's defense perimeter. Leora and the alien commanders gathered in the main control room, overlooking the city. The stars above glimmered, but one dark shadow dominated the sky, a machine built for destruction. "Faster and stronger than anything in the galaxy. We have only hours before it strikes," said the chief counselor, a tall, insectoid alien with glimmering eyes. "Human, if your metals are to protect us, now is the time to show their true power." Leora nodded. "We won't just defend," she said. "We'll turn this into a test of ingenuity. The enemy expects a wall, a shield, and a straightforward fight. But humans think in layers." She directed teams of aliens to assemble barricades, energy channels, and traps, all using the principles of human craftsmanship. Panels of Damascus steel were placed in interlocking patterns, each one angled to absorb and redirect energy. Some panels were shaped into sharp edges that could pierce incoming drones or missiles. Others were layered in ways that the aliens had never imagined, acting almost like a living network of defense. Soldiers were trained to move in patterns that complemented the metal structures. Humans on Earth often combine tactics with improvisation, and Leora showed the aliens how to anticipate enemy movements, using both their strengths and weaknesses. The aliens watched in amazement as she coordinated strategies that seemed fast and subtle for their logic. Hours passed, and finally, the warship arrived in orbit, its weapons charging. Energy beams tore through the atmosphere, striking walls, towers, and defensive satellites. Alien shields held for moments, then melted under the intensity of the attacks. Panic spread, but Leora remained calm. She directed teams to activate the human-made metal grids. Energy that would have shattered conventional walls flowed through the interlocking panels of Damascus steel, spreading out harmlessly. Sparks flew, but the walls held. Varkel could hardly believe his eyes. "How?" he muttered. "Human metals respond to force differently," Leora explained. "They don't just resist, they work with the energy, not against it. And human minds adapt in real time. We are not limited to rigid thinking." The warship sent drones down, tiny but armed with energy weapons. Alien troops fired, but their weapons were only partially effective. Leora quickly showed them how to use the environment. combining the shapes of metal panels with their positions to trap or deflect drones. Within minutes, waves of drones crashed against their own shields. Destroyed by human ingenuity rather than brute force, the city's defenders began to see a change. Panic shifted to awe to confidence. Alien troops who had once scoffed at humans now relied on Leora's guidance, following her strategies with precision. The walls, the weapons, the soldiers, they all moved in ways the enemy did not anticipate. Even Varkel, once arrogant and mocking, worked beside her, following instructions and learning techniques he had never imagined. You think in ways we never could, he admitted quietly. Leora smiled. That's what humans do. We look at a problem, and we don't just see it the way it is, we see what it could be. The warship fired a massive energy beam directly at the central tower. Alien engineers watched helplessly as their defenses failed. Leora acted quickly. She directed teams to reposition panels in a curved, interlocking formation. The beam struck the panels and dispersed. The energy flowed harmlessly through the metal layers, exiting harmlessly into the open air. The tower shook, but it did not fall. Cheering erupted among the defenders. They had not only survived, they had done so in ways the aliens had never believed possible. Leora then led a small strike team to disable the warship's drones. Using human-crafted blades and armor, they moved quickly and efficiently, slicing through drone casings and dismantling control systems. Each movement seemed impossible to the aliens, a combination of speed, precision, and creativity that no algorithm could match. The warship tried again, but now the humans and aliens had adapted. Energy beams were redirected, drones destroyed, and the walls held strong. Each attack revealed more of Leora's ingenuity, more of what humans could achieve when facing impossible odds. Varkel watched the battlefield, realization dawning. Humans are not just survivors, he muttered. They are innovators, creators, warriors in ways we cannot fully understand. As the battle raged, Leora knew one thing for certain. Humans were more than just strong metals or clever weapons. Their greatest strength was in their mind, the ability to see possibilities where others saw limits. To adapt, to create solutions from nothing. By the end of the night, the warship was forced to retreat, its drones destroyed or scattered, its weapons unable to breach the human augmented defenses. The alien city stood, battered but undefeated. The counselors, soldiers, and engineers looked at Leora with a mixture of respect and awe. Varkel approached her, glowing deeply, this time not in arrogance, but in genuine respect. Human, I have seen your strength, your mind, and your skill. I underestimated you, and I will never do so again. Leora shook her head gently. It's not just me, she said. It's humanity. We work together, adapt, and create. That is how we survive and thrive. The aliens began repairing their city, incorporating human designs and techniques into their own technology. The battle had changed them. They had thought humans weak, primitive, and fragile. Now they saw a species that could challenge assumptions, surpass limits, and save entire civilizations with their creativity. And in the quiet moments, as the city recovered and the stars above slowly returned to normal, Leora smiled to herself. Humans had not just defended the alien city, they had proven why no one should ever underestimate them. The galaxy had been watching, and now the age of humans, the era of ingenuity and adaptability, was beginning in earnest. The alien city had survived the night, but the warship was still a threat from orbit. It loomed like a dark predator, observing the planet below. Its massive hull reflected the light of distant stars, and its weapons systems were ready. Yet, for the first time, the aliens did not feel hopeless. They had learned something new. They had humans on their side. Leora walked through the streets of the city, her boots clicking against the reinforced metal walkways. Soldiers, engineers, and civilians glanced at her with newfound respect. Where once they had doubted humans, now they looked to them for guidance. Her Damascus steel armor, light but strong, reflected faint streaks of sunlight in her hands. She carried a small toolkit, instruments designed for precision rather than force. Varkel joined her, his forearms folded. Human, he said, We have repaired as much as we can. But the warship is still there. How do we finish this? How do we end it? Leora smiled faintly. We do what humans do best. We use creativity, teamwork, and unpredictability. The enemy expects a fight. They do not expect innovation. The counselors had gathered on the high terrace overlooking the city. Their eyes were wide, filled with curiosity and cautious hope. Leora addressed them. We will use the human-made materials and tactics to defend the city, but we will also go further. We will turn the warship's own strength against it. The aliens exchanged confused glances. Turn its strength against it? Asked one counselor. An insectoid creature with sharp, chitinous plates. Leora knelt beside a set of panels made of interlocking Damascus steel. Watch. These metals are not just strong, they respond to energy. We can design layers and shapes that redirect incoming blasts, funnel energy back, and even create shock waves that the enemy does not anticipate. Varkel's eyes widened as he realized what she meant. You would make the warship harm itself. Yes, Leora said simply. Humans always look for a solution that others cannot see. The enemy will attack, but their power will be used against them. Teams of aliens and humans work together, guided by Leora's instructions. Massive metal panels were shaped into intricate formations along the city's perimeter. Energy channels were constructed to absorb and redirect the warship's blasts. Spikes and edges were carefully positioned to pierce drones and smaller ships. Every placement was deliberate, every angle precise. Soldiers trained relentlessly. Leora demonstrated human combat techniques that combined speed, precision, and improvisation. Blades moved in unexpected ways. Armor allowed rapid movement while remaining strong, and small squads coordinated their attacks like a single living organism. As night fell, the warship descended into the planet's atmosphere. Its weapons fired and powerful. Coordinated strikes, targeting the reinforced city. Energy beams tore through the sky, lighting the clouds like lightning. The aliens watched nervously, unsure if their new defenses would hold. Leora raised her hand. Now, the panels of Damascus steel flexed, shifted, and redirected the energy. Beams that would have destroyed towers and walls instead flowed harmlessly along curved surfaces, dissipating into the ground. Shockwaves bounced back toward the warship, causing minor malfunctions in its systems. The drones sent to attack the city crashed into one another, unable to navigate the unpredictable energy flows. Varkel could hardly believe what he saw. It's working. The human designs, not designs alone, Leora said, but execution. Humans adapt quickly. We see patterns and act before others can respond. That is why we survive against threats that seem impossible. The warship's main energy cannon charged, aiming directly at the city's central tower. The aliens held their breath. Leora moved swiftly, directing teams to adjust the metal formations. The energy beam struck a panel at just the right angle, splitting into multiple smaller beams, each harmlessly deflected. Sparks flew, but the tower stood firm. The counselors whispered among themselves. We thought this impossible, one said. A human has defended us against what no alien defense could resist. Leora then led a strike team of humans and aliens to disable the warship systems. Using the city's terrain, the human-crafted armor, and precision tools, they infiltrated the enemy drones. Blades cut through hulls, wires were severed, and critical systems were disabled. Each move was calculated yet fluid, a combination of skill, knowledge, and instinct that no alien computer could replicate. The warship's attacks grew desperate. It unleashed everything it had: energy beams, missiles, and swarms of drones. Yet every strike was countered, redirected, or neutralized by human ingenuity. Varkel fought alongside Leora, marveling at her instincts. I have spent decades perfecting metalwork, he said between strikes, and yet your methods surpass everything I know. Leora smiled, wiping sweat from her brow. Metal is only part of it. Humans are not just strong, we think differently. We find solutions where others see limits. That is our greatest weapon. Hours passed, and the tide of battle shifted. The warship began to sustain damage from its own attacks redirected by human-engineered structures. Panels of Damascus steel absorbed and reflected energy, creating unpredictable currents that tore through drones and small craft. The enemy's systems overheated, malfunctioned, and collapsed under the combined weight of human innovation and alien cooperation. Finally, the warship retreated, its hull scorched and battered, the sky cleared, and the stars returned to their calm brilliance. The city, though scarred, had survived. Its people cheered, some in disbelief, some in overwhelming joy. The counselors approached Leora, their faces filled with gratitude and awe. "Human, you have saved us," said one. "We believed your people weak, but you have proven otherwise. You are more than survivors, you are masters of innovation and courage." Leora nodded humbly. "We do not seek praise. Humans adapt, create, and protect. That is what we have always done, and what we will always do." Varkel stepped forward, bowing deeply. "Human, forgive my earlier arrogance. I underestimated you, underestimated your people. I see now that humans are not to be judged by size, strength, or even technology, but by ingenuity, creativity, and determination." Leora smiled softly. "Thank you, Varkel. That is all we ask, to be understood, and to be allowed to show what humans can do." The aliens began incorporating human techniques into their own metallurgy and tactics workshops. Once filled with doubt and ridicule, now buzzed with curiosity and collaboration. Soldiers practiced human strategies, engineers experimented with new applications of Damascus steel, and the counselors realized that humanity's potential was greater than they had ever imagined. Leora walked through the city one last time, observing the repairs and improvements. Humans and aliens worked side by side, united not by fear or force, but by respect and cooperation. The night had been long and perilous, but it had also revealed a truth the galaxy could no longer ignore. Humans were exceptional, not because they were the strongest, but because they never gave up. They always adapted, and they always found a way. As dawn broke over the horizon, the first rays of light touched the towers and walls, illuminating the patterns of Damascus steel that lined the city. Leora stood at the edge of the terrace, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, other civilizations would take note. The galaxy would remember that a single human, armed with knowledge, skill, and ingenuity, had turned the tide of battle. And Leora knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity had shown its strength, but more importantly, it had shown its mind. In a universe that valued brute force and rigid rules, humans had proven that creativity, adaptability, and courage could triumph over any challenge. Varkel joined her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "The galaxy has changed," he said quietly. "All because of humans. I never thought I would see such brilliance." Leora nodded. "It is not brilliance alone. It is the human way to learn, to adapt, and to survive against all odds. The galaxy will soon understand that humans are not to be underestimated." The counselors, soldiers, and citizens gathered around, raising their voices in gratitude and admiration. For the first time, humans were not seen as weak, fragile, or primitive. They were seen as innovators, protectors, and heroes. As the city celebrated, Leora looked toward the horizon, toward the dark shadow of the warship far away. She knew that more challenges would come, more battles to fight, more obstacles to overcome. But she also knew that humans had the greatest weapon of all, a mind that refused to accept limits. And with that, she smiled. Humanity had triumphed not just with steel or weapons, but with creativity, courage, and the unbreakable spirit that had always defined them. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of humans, and no one would ever doubt them again. The age of humans had begun.